Hey guys, Dushmaster here and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be showing you how I go about editing portrait photos and how I use the graduated filter in order to isolate the shadows and highlights, which has been really helpful to me and really changed how I edit my photos. But first, if you are new to the channel, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all my weekly videos. So let's get started. So we'll just take our graduated filter and we'll just create our first filter. Okay, yeah, so this is actually a really good technique just to isolate the shadows and highlights. So once you created that, yeah, go to range mask, select luminance, make sure show luminance mask is selected, and we're just going to move our filter up a bit, and this will be our shadows that we're going to be isolating. Yeah, so once you just position that right, so we'll just go down to this range bar and I'm just gonna drag it from the right and we're gonna bring it down, we'll bring it all the way down to about 26, and you can see it's really isolating just the shadow area without affecting the highlights, which is pretty cool. And we're just gonna we'll deselect that and we'll just go to clarity and we're just going to increase this just a little bit to about 30. Excellent. Yep, and hit OK, and we're just going to create a second graduated filter, and this will be our highlights. So we'll just create that and go to range mask, select luminance and show luminance mask so you can see what you're working on, and we'll just bring that down. Just raise that up. Lovely. Okay, and we're just going to take our range slider from the left and we're going to bring it down to about 29. Excellent. And for this one we're going to increase the shadows to 50. The clarity we're going to bring down to -50. And the saturation, we'll just bump that up just a little bit, just to about 10 or something like that. Yeah, not too high. Lovely. Cool. Okay, so now that we've isolated our highlights and shadows, we can move on to rest of the editing. So we'll start with our temperature. We'll just increase that, bring that more towards the yellow. Okay. And by doing this is actually a really good technique. So when you use the graduated filter and isolate the highlights and shadows, you actually got more control over the skin tones, because sometimes I've had situations where, you know, like I'll just adjust the highlight, shadows, whites, whatever, but I'm still struggling with the skin tones. So using the graduated filter and isolating those shadows and highlights, you can actually it gives you more control over the skin tones, you know, just so you don't get that purpley look that you tend to get with skin tones. Yeah, so it's a really good technique. Yeah, but anyway, moving on, just raise our black to 100. Texture, we'll increase that to about 20, and clarity we'll bring down -20. And dehaze, we'll increase that to about 40. And vibrance, we'll increase that to 20. Excellent. Okay, so for our curves, we'll just create a couple of points. And for our first point, just go to the output and change that to 10. And for our next point, for the input, put 65 and 60 for the output. And for our last point, we're just going to put 188 for the input, and for the output put 193. Excellent. Okay, so for our color mixer, for the orange hue, bring that down to -20 and increase the yellow hue to +50 and increase the green hue to +20. Okay, moving on to our saturation, bring down the orange to about -20. Okay, moving on to our color grading. So for our shadows, for the hue, leave it at 0 and just increase the saturation to +20. Lovely. And for our highlights, change the hue to 200 and change the saturation to 20. Lovely. And just make sure the blending is set to 100. Excellent. Okay, so for our sharpening, as usual, I like to keep it at around 40, and the masking I usually do around 80. So just hold down Alt on the keyboard, just click and drag that to +80. Lovely. And for our noise, even though we don't really have to use this, but sometimes I like to soften the image a bit, so just increase that to +40. And again, you don't want to go too crazy with it, but yeah, 40 will work fine. So lastly, for our calibration, change the green hue primary to +50 and our blue primary saturation to +100. And there you go. And there you have it, guys. That's our edited portrait photo. I really loved how this turned out. We're able to bring back all those vibrant colors and yeah, just really isolate those shadows and highlights, which gave us a lot more control with the whole editing process. Yeah, so thanks for watching this video, guys. I really appreciate it. And again, feel free to like, subscribe and comment below with any thoughts or suggestions you may have regarding this video or anything else in general. And yeah, so on that note, hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers!